But if you sit outside an abortion mill and you pray the rosary and you sing a song, we're going to come and find you. We're going to get you. We're going to throw you behind bars. Yesterday in a federal court, 6 activists were convicted for an unlawful protest. And I want to show you video of that protest. I want to give you a warning, though. This might be disturbing for some viewers. Here's the activity that got these 6 radicals arrested in the first place.
You know what I heard?
I heard an old story, how a Savior came from glory, how he gave his life on Calvary to save a wretch like me.
Yeah, it's chilling, disturbing stuff. I'm sorry that you had to see that. It's okay. You can let the kids back into the room now. Those are pro-life activists. They're singing hymns. I saw one praying a rosary, and I'm really scared of the one in the wheelchair there. They're sitting in a hallway outside of an abortion mill, a Planned Parenthood clinic. And they're praying. They're praying for the pregnant women who are in crisis and terrified for their future. They're praying for the unborn children who are about to meet a horrific fate. They were exercising their First Amendment right to practice their faith openly in the public square. While we still have that right, we should probably celebrate it. And the Biden administration, through the Justice Department, sent the FBI to their homes. This is what it looked like when one of those protesters was arrested.
But if you're not going to let me, then I'll just...
No, I want to know why you were banging on my door with a gun.
Hey, let's go back to that.
You're not going to tell me anything?
No, we're not.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You did not try. This is not acceptable. Can I have your name? You're not going to give me your name. You're not going to give me any information.
And off they go. Did you notice how they had one person in back with their automatic weapon just in case that woman made a run for it? They came back, of course, with their arrest warrant, and they arrested that person along with 5 others. And they were convicted. They were convicted for violating a thing called the FACE Act. Now, the FACE Act is a federal law that was put in place in the 90s after 1 or 2 abortionists were actually targeted for violence by some radical pro-life activists. By the way, I wouldn't even call them pro-life activists because by definition, if you're pro-life, you're not murdering people. And in fact, the Catholic Church and the pro-life community roundly, completely, unambiguously condemned the acts of violence against the abortion doctors. But this was the Clinton 90s, and everyone had to make hay about protecting the right to abortion. So they passed this law that made it a federal crime for conducting any kind of intimidating act in front of an abortion mill, even if you're just protesting. And let me remind you what yesterday a federal court under the direction of Joe Biden determined was an intimidating act. That's what an intimidating act looks like, worthy of 11 years in prison. That's what they're facing. And I suppose if you're pregnant and planning on getting an abortion, it is intimidating to walk through a bunch of people who are acting pretty holy and praying for the life of that baby and praying for your salvation against all odds. I guess that can be intimidating. But it wasn't until the last year and a half that Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, and the United States Department of Justice decided to twist the meaning of the FACE Act, warp it beyond recognition, and apply it to convict individuals like this. Oh, by the way, the tactics used here were right out of Elliot Ness going after Al Capone. They got one of those protesters alone under questioning and convinced her to turn state's witness. They flipped her because they intimidated her. They scared her. They bullied her. They threatened her. And I guess understandably, she said, fine, just tell me whatever it is you want me to say. And they used her testimony to convict the others. Something in a book I read once about bearing false witness, but I don't want to cloud the issue now. That's the America we're living in right now under Joe Biden, who, by the way, I really do have to pause for a moment and remind everybody it's obligatory. He is a very serious and practicing devout Catholic. That Joe Biden is. Oh, you better believe he is. He'll tell you any opportunity he has. And, you can always tell the really serious devout Catholics by how many times they tell you they're serious devout Catholics. What was it that Jesus said? Judge them by the things they tell you and not by their fruits. Oh, no, wait. It's the other way around. This is what's happening under Joe Biden's Justice Department with Merrick Garland in charge and Christopher Wray in the FBI. This is the kind of bullying tactics, arrests, and convictions that we are facing right now. And while they're doing that to these people, let's remind you what they're not doing. Let's remind you who they're not arresting. It is a federal law right now to protest in front of the home of a Supreme Court justice. That is the federal law. These are protesters in front of the home of Justice Brett Kavanaugh in Maryland. They are screaming, oftentimes screaming obscenities, beating drums, threatening. In fact, one person who was joining this mob was literally arrested for hatching a plot to kidnap the justice and his little daughters and potentially kill them. Not one of these people have been arrested for protesting in front of a Supreme Court justice homes. And they do this in front of Clarence Thomas' home, in front of Justice Alito's home, Justice Barrett's home. It's still going on a year and a half after the Dobbs decision. None of them have been arrested, let alone an FBI team with guns ablazing plowing into your house, pulling you out in the middle of the night, and then convicting you, facing 11 years in prison. No, none of that has happened. You know who else has gotten off scot-free? One of the multiple acts of vandalism against pregnancy crisis centers that we've seen. Here's just one snippet.
This is what the inside of Compass Care Crisis Pregnancy Center looks like after someone set fire to it early Tuesday morning.
These people came in the dark of night, broke glass, set fires.
The FBI and Amherst Police Department are investigating the crime as a suspected arson. They say it happened around 3 a.m. Tuesday. Jane was here, was spray painted on the side of the building, which Hardin says is a calling card for pro-abortion group Jane's Revenge, though police have not yet named a suspect or made an arrest.
And maybe we'll never know what the real motive was either. It's not an arson, it's a hate crime. It's terrorism. But they haven't been arrested, have they? Jane's Revenge, where are they? No one knows. The FBI doesn't care. because Joe Biden's in charge. Over a Catholic vote, they're actually keeping track of all of the acts of violence against churches and pregnancy crisis centers since the Dobbs decision came down. Over 350 attacks since May of 2020. 392 against Catholic churches. 227 since the leak of the decision. And there have been 3 so far just this year. How many arrests? How many convictions? What's the priority of this Justice Department and this FBI? Well, we saw the priority. You burn a church down, you vandalize a pregnancy crisis center, we'll get to it someday. But if you sit outside an abortion mill and you pray the rosary and you sing a song, we're going to come and find you. We're going to get you. We're going to throw you behind bars. You know, we're basically down to a choice of 2 candidates for president. And it couldn't be clearer, right? You got Trump and you got Biden. And listen, I do understand people who are hesitant to vote for Donald Trump because of, the temperament and some of the things he says, the way he says them. It might not be exactly what you expect from a president. I get that. I do. But if you care about this issue, if you call yourself pro-life and you think that this is over because of the Dobbs decision, and you think that there's no difference really between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I get it. You don't like the tweets. Guess what? Grow up.